Welcome along to episode 815 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Coming up on the show this week, Jasper Carrott lets us know about the three nights he's appearing at the Grand alongside his mate Alistair McGowan. We'll be hearing from Fred Dinenage about his appearance at the Stafford Gatehouse. He's telling tales on the time he met the Krays. Alex and Olivia Bowen join us. They'll be having a bit of a natter all about water efficient homes, a bit of a change from their time on Love Island. We'll be catching up with Sally Woods at Compton Care to find out how you could raise funds as part of the Wolves 10K coming up in March. Susan Murray lets us know about her local gigs in the world of comedy, and we'll be hearing from Sal, guest star on the Young Voices world's largest choir that's back in Birmingham at the end of February. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Now, Susan Murray is just off stage at the Wolverhampton Literature Festival, where she's been telling us how not to die in a plane crash. And she's back doing the show again in the city, which is a good job because it was absolutely packed out down here in the Tilston. How you doing?
I'm really good, yeah, I'm fine.
Good stuff. Now, this is a show you've returned to, isn't it? And not just because of recent events.
No. I was planning on doing it anyway because I've sort of been on a bit of a hiatus, had a bit of a career change, and now I'm back doing it. So yeah, I had to relearn the whole thing, that's quite hard on your brain, isn't it? Really? It's all right though.
It's your own material, but still, it's rattling around in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean,
muscle memory.
But I just want to cover off the fact that you're dressed as you are, because this isn't how we'd normally expect to see you out on the street, is it?
I'm normally wearing a New Model Army t-shirt.
This is either that or just completely in black.
Cabin crew, yeah.
And in the show itself, I mean, it looks at the lighter side of the loss of aircraft, and does actually, I think, from the reviews I've seen, give people genuine tips they're happy with.
It is genuine tips because I've watched a lot of air crash investigation.
You're addicted.
I am completely addicted, and it's like I'm not taking the mickey out of anyone that's died or anyone that's got loved ones because I realise that's just I'm not. I'm not a sociopath. I realise that's a horrendous thing, and it's actually really difficult to write jokes around because you write them around the plane crashes and you find the humour in that, which is quite skillful, really, even though I say so myself. And I put little personal bits. It's a light and shade, but there's a lot of information in there. So yeah, I've decided I could definitely put a plane back together.
Yeah, as long as you can reassemble it like a giant jigsaw, that'd be fantastic.
No, I did air fix as a kid. It can't be that hard.
No, I mean, I always used to melt the pilot with the glue, though. I know I did that. So
it was always like just covered in glue face, wasn't it?
Yeah, don't go there. One thing you did mention in the show, and I was the one who remembered, was your the one that went from Rio to France that was sadly lost.
Yeah,
and
Air France 447.
The tale behind that you have to get right. The reason I remember that one is because I've done that route numerous times, and because when a plane crashes, they don't fly that route anymore, do they? They change them slightly, I think. So
okay.
It is less stressful. However, what was stressful, on a flight where I'd asked for a bland meal that the crew couldn't tell what it was when it arrived, I was chatting to the woman next to me, and she says, "Oh yeah, I was supposed to be on that one. I'd go this way all the time." And you're really thinking, it's Final Destination. This isn't going to be like Final Destination. I survived that. She survived again, but it is a worry.
I know a friend of mine. She was on the first leg of the Lockerbie flight and got off at London. Yeah, she was she wasn't very well after that.
No,
a lot
I
of
can
bit
imagine.
of PTSD. I've got some dates. Would you like my future dates?
Go for it. What have we got?
So there's a gig at the Molyneux, and it's just a circuit gig. So there's like really good acts on, and I'm the resident host of that, and that's in a really lovely room. And so it's like just a really interesting being in the football ground. You can see the pitch at night with all the lights on. It's really good. So I've got a gig coming up there on the 22nd February.
Yep.
I'm supporting Jason Manford at Bilston Town Hall on the 28th of February.
Just subtly drop that now.
Yeah. And then back to the Molyneux on the 3rd of May, and then I'm doing my How Not to Die in a Plane Crash on the 10th of May at the New Hampton Arts Centre, and that's just a mere £10 of your English pounds.
Yeah, that is good value, because it is an absolutely amazing funny show with props and everything, and the outfit. I mean, for you not to be wearing a New Model Army t-shirt, you deserve to be chucked a tenner, don't you?
Yeah. So I can go and buy another t-shirt.
Yeah, that would help. Well, whatever happens, have a great time with all of those.
Thank you very much.
And, of course, you are available on socials, etc. Where do we find you there?
Facebook, Instagram. I'm not really much on TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok. Yeah, just mainly Facebook and Instagram. X and Blue Sky.
Yeah, you're all there.
Yeah.
And the website?
Yeah, susan-murray.co.uk.
Links to the tickets from there?
On the socials.
So do the socials.
I haven't updated it. I need to update it.
You can get around to it.
I will update it. Yes.
Always a pleasure to see you on stage. Always a joy to see you in real life too. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jason.
Now, time is running out if you want one of the spaces reserved for Compton Care fundraisers in the Wolverhampton 10K. That all happens in March. Sally Woods is here to tell us how soon you have to be in for this. How you doing?
Hello, hi Jason. Thank you for having us on.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. I enjoy doing interviews with people I class as friends, and you're one of those. So tell us about what's happening here, because this is a chance to raise funds for Compton Care.
It is, yes. So this is another year of us being the charity partner for the Wolverhampton 10K, which takes place on March the 23rd. And it starts and finishes at the lovely Molyneux.
So it's as a 10K run. Can't say much more than that. It is one which is an appropriate challenge, isn't it, for runners? It's not really scary. It's not all uphill, but it is one which is a nice 10K challenge.
It's a very nice 10K challenge. It's a good route that goes right across the city. So lots of different aspects in terms of running and not too much of a challenge. So if you're a park runner, it's something that you could potentially step up to. And if you're already running 10Ks, it's a really great atmosphere, an event to be part of.
So why not do that with a bit of sponsorship for Compton Care? The event itself is Sunday, the 23rd of March. If you're free, then set yourself up for this one. Get in touch. Now, because you're partner, you get a number of places where you don't have to charge a fee to the runners, but it's only limited spaces, isn't it?
That's right. So we do have a limited number of places where there is no charge for the cost of the place, but we do ask those people to raise about £150 for Compton, and then all of that sponsorship goes towards our services for our patients and families.
Absolutely. And an event like this is yet another important way of getting funds in for Compton Care. I mean, the amount it costs to produce the services which are essential to our community is significant, but it's there because we all care about Compton.
Indeed. So our costs are currently £14.5 million every year. And as a community, we have to raise about 60% of that. So we really rely on people taking part in events and doing things for us to help us raise those funds. So this event is a great way for anyone who wants to run or anyone who has a connection to Compton to come together to take part in a really fantastic event and do something really, really good that's important to everyone in our city.
Absolutely, and with the recent award we've been talking about, through the Daffodil Standards Award, that just shows the way in which Compton works with so many different parts of the community at different times in everybody's life journey. And as ever with Compton, it's all about living that life as best you can, and whether that be the outpatient services or the other things that take place in the community, or the way in which the palliative care is available for those who need to be inpatients. There's all sorts of things. There's a way in which Compton touches most families' lives in some way or form.
Indeed, there is. And as you say, that the care that we provide takes place either here at Compton Hall or out in the community, very often can be unseen, but is there in the background so that our patients and their families get all the care, all the support, all the equipment that they need to be able to live really well with their illness and to do the things that they love to do for as long as possible. And we want to be able to continue to provide those services. We've been doing it for over 40 years now, and we want to be here for at least another 40 years. So the support that we have from our communities, from groups, from individuals is absolutely vital to making sure that we are still here.
Yeah, it's if it's needed, it's done, and it helps those make memories, live the best life they can, and of course have the most appropriate way of that life coming to a close as well. And I think that's again another important part of it. And with the bereavement services you offer, it doesn't stop when somebody who's been connected with you passes away. It continues with support for their family.
Absolutely. So support is there for the family after their loved one has died. It's there for as long as that family wants it to be. And we support all members of the family from very small children right the way through in appropriate ways for that person. all individually tailored to make sure that that person gets the support that they need to be able to come to terms with what's happened. Yes.
Absolutely, and say it's part of being part of the Compton Care family, and so many people are. ComptonCare.org.uk/Wolves 10K is where they can go to find out more about this event. But of course, there's all sorts of events as well. It's worth checking the website to see what's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, have a look on our website. We've got lots of events lined up this year that we've organised or that we have places in on behalf of other organisations. Lots of exciting things. We're always interested in people giving us a ring and finding out what's going on. The first port of call would always be the website. Yeah.
And when do people have to get their applications in for if they want to join the Wolves 10K?
So Wolves 10K, the applications will close at the beginning of March. But as we mentioned earlier, we do have a very limited number of these free places. So if you are thinking about perhaps entering the event, please take that massive leap and jump onto our website and sign up.
Get in there ASAP, comptoncare.org.uk/Wolves 10K to be part of the Wolverhampton 10K taking place on the 23rd of March and raising those funds. Say 150 quid. Hopefully that'll be easy to get a sponsorship for, and then the rest, which will of course then continue to make the amazing work that Compton Care do happen. Sally, always good to catch up with you. I look forward to seeing you soon, and we know that there's going to be a load of people who are ready to run 10K for Compton.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for your time.
Now, when Alex and Olivia Bowen were on Love Island, they were surrounded by water. However, as property developers, they're keen to have homes which are much more water efficient, and it's something we should be striving for too. They join me now to tell me about a new report from Affinity Water. How are we doing?
Very well, thank you.
Oh, good here. Right, okay. So, when you're chilling out on an island and you've got drought-resistant plants all around you, the last thing you're going to be thinking about is an aerator on your tap. But this is one of the ways we can start to reduce our water consumption and make sure that we're thinking of the planet and the future when it comes to updating our homes.
So yeah, we started working with Affinity Water last year, but we've actually been supplied by them in our homes for years, and it was just really interesting. We started by looking at the look and listen test, which I'm sure Alex will tell you about in a sec, but we're now sort of talking about the fact that water demand could exceed supply by 2036, and I don't think many people realize how much of an issue this actually is at this current time. And there's just plenty of things that we can all do quite easily around our homes. Affinity Water are making it very easy. They've got a guidebook on their website which includes lots of innovative tips. There's lots of things that they suggest that are really practical, that can really help you save your water and save our water in the UK.
Yeah, because I mean, this is something which is across the whole UK. It affects all our water companies, and Affinity are one of those that supply water only, very much like South Staffs, who cover part of Wolverhampton, Severn Trent, looking after both water and sewage across that whole region as well. But it is something we all need to think about. And when we'll be holidaying in an Affinity Water area most likely, and we might find something a bit strange when we come to turn on the tap, or when we're maybe looking at rainwater harvesting, which could be taking place around properties. And as property developers yourselves, these are the sort of things that you're thinking about to future-proof the homes that you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like when a lot of people are in their properties, it's like, especially when we had our first property as well, we was hearing like water running, and we just kind of like neglected it and didn't really listen to it. And that's just going to be like, that cost us like quite a lot of money. Then like Affinity Water pushed out the look and listen tests, and basically it's just bit like making people more aware of like listening out for noises, just checking like toilets if they're leaking and stuff. And people just like listen to it and just think, oh, I'll just forget about it completely, not realizing that it can actually save you a lot of money. So
it really does add up. And I think, like you said, we've got a couple of properties in Wolverhampton, so we will be looking at adding, bits there. And they're actually releasing their first ever smart meter for water. So we'll be doing that down here. And like you said, the rainwater is a really good idea to water your plants. There's just little bits and bobs that you can do that are quite easy that we just want to make sure people know about.
Yeah, explain the tap aerator and what this does.
So this basically, I only learned about this the other day, and we had one.
Is it Fizzy Council Pop? Is that what we're saying? We're not, are we?
Fizzy Council Pop.
We've got one and we love it. It basically aerates your water, so it changes the water flow while maintaining the pressure. It all sounds very fancy, but it's quite a good thing, and it does make a difference. But again, these are you know, options that you can have. But I think easier options are the rainwater, are the smart meter, are the look and listen test. If you don't want to like outsource that cost straight away, you can look at doing things just in your home as you are.
Yeah, because I mean, limiting that water flow when you're washing your hands, it makes a difference because you'll use as much water as you need if there's an airflow through it as well.
Exactly.
When you fill in the kettle, it means you may spend 30 seconds longer filling the kettle, but actually, overall, it will save you money because if you're on a water meter, which I think we all really ought to be now, so we are responsible for the amount of water that we're using, and the smart meters that you're talking about there,
Yeah.
allow us to understand how we use our gas and electric when it comes to a smart meter. Why not do that with water too?
Well, exactly. I'm
Exactly.
glad you agree.
Probably everyone did.
I think people will. I think, like we were discussing this morning, I think until it's a problem right in front of your eyes on the news and everything, people don't really take it seriously. But we're hoping just from, you know, having these conversations.
You just got to get it out there as much as you can, really, just to kind of like nip it in the bud, like as soon as you can, really. So.
Yeah, but when you flush your toilet, the amount of water you use there, modern toilets are so much more efficient. I assume that when you're buying a home, that's probably one of the things you look at. An older toilet will be using significantly more water. If you go back to the 60s, everything was larger on there. The whole tank was bigger, and the way in which you have a partial flush, if it's only, should we say number ones, it makes it so, yeah, much more efficient to do it that way, and and also just making sure there's nothing. Actually, you said with the listen test leaking. I mean, one of my toilets will occasionally it'll just stick slightly, and the cistern's actually letting water to go through. Well, as soon as I hear that noise, I can hear coins trickling down the plug
Yeah,
hole.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, but that's the thing. Not a lot of people do. People will just listen to it and just forget about it.
No.
Yeah, and some people will just pass it and like be like, "Oh, what is that noise?" And then we did it for like quite a while, and then when we got told about it, it was like we're just wasting so much money.
Absolutely, even a dripping tap costs you cash.
Yeah.
Honestly, our lives have changed so much. We was on Love Island, now we're watching our toilet flush.
There was some that would make a very clear comparison between the two. I will not go there. However, obviously it is different because I mean, when you're on Love Island, when you're on holiday, you do behave differently sometimes, and we need to carry over our good behaviour at home when we do travel too.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's just we're not asking for like huge change. We're just asking for these little tips and tricks to be looked at. And like I said, the guidebook is online. You can just have a little scroll of that and pick up little tips and tricks that are easy for you. And what ones work for you, work for you. What ones are too difficult at this time, you know, we can all do our bit.
Yeah, but when you're looking at your next washing machine, you're looking for the amount of water it's going to use for each cycle. I mean, dishwashing we know uses far less water than washing up by hand. Yet, it's something which still many people don't subscribe to.
Yeah, there's a water sense label, isn't there, on certain dishwashers and washing machines that if you look out for, they are definitely more efficient in saving water. So that's if you are in the market for a new dishwasher, then that's something to look out for.
Yeah, well, Affinity Water's looking after a swathe of customers across the southern part of the Midlands, across into London, and providing water. And of course, whenever we travel, we enjoy seeing the reservoirs as well, and we like to see them full rather than half empty, don't we?
They're not quite as impressive, are they? Half empty.
Yeah, not so good. So we're looking for that to work well. So where do we get this guy to help us make sure that we are being the most water efficient we can be?
Just go to Infinity Water.
Yeah, you can pop onto their website. It is on there. They've also got an Instagram. If you want to head over to the Bowen home, we've also got a few little bits on there with the look and listen test that we did with them. We had a plumber over at ours, didn't we?
Yeah, he showed us a lot of information. So.
Really nervous. I was like, oh God, don't show yourselves up.
Yeah, you're like you're being assessed by a plumber.
Yeah.
No, but it was good. It was a really insightful day. Taught us quite a lot
So
of
that
what
is
to
on
listen
there.
out for. So that's good.
So Affinity Water, AFFINITY water.co.uk. I can spell affinity. And you can look for their Save Our Streams feature as well, because that's another big part of it, isn't it? It's, it's making sure that those, the smaller bodies of water which feed into the larger lakes via the rivers are all protected too. So whatever we do with our properties, it all makes a difference to the water plane.
All connected. It's all connected.
Well, you guys keep up the good work. Remind us of your socials.
So we're at the Bowen home, and we've got our personal
pages,
socials that you can just type our name and you'll find us.
You'll turn up there, and no doubt you'll be not letting the tap run when you clean your teeth, all that sort of stuff.
In the toilet at night time.
Yeah, so you make sure you do it right. Well, Alex and Olivia Bowen, lovely to speak to you both. Thank you for joining us, and keep up the good work. And with the help of Affinity Water, you'll no doubt be listening for those dripping taps whenever.
Thank you so much.
Now, Young Voices Live are back with the world's largest choir at the BP Pulse Live in Birmingham from the 26th through to the 28th of February. You can find out more about the gig at youngvoices.co.uk and book your tickets that way. But somebody who's alumni of the group and BGT star is Sao, who'll be one of the guest singers on the event.
So right now we're doing the Young Voices Tour 2025. Young Voices is an organization where it's the largest children's choir in the world. So it's basically promoting the love of music with children. So basically, there's different venues: Birmingham, Manchester, London. So in those venues, the surrounding schools, the choirs in those schools will come and will all and it's just about getting everyone to perform, and it's just an amazing event. And so basically there's some guest artists and we'll be singing songs with the children, and we'll be performing to their parents in the audience, and it's just an amazing event where everyone gets to share the love of music. And
the scary bit here, though, is everyone is going to forget that you're still 15, yeah, and performing with the amazing voice that you have and sort of wowing audiences.
Thank you.
What's your favourite part of being in this show? Because, I mean, you get to shine on your own, don't you? They let you have a solo, don't they?
Yes, I do have a solo song, and I sing a song with the children. And I think that's like a full circle moment for me, that I was in Young Voices 8 years back. I went to the Birmingham Arena, and I just remember having the most incredible night singing with my friends, and singing with so many other children. And it blows my mind that I get to be on the stage this year and sharing this experience with so many more children to come.
It's the inspiring part as well, isn't it? You're going to be inspiring others to go on and emulate some of your success.
Yeah, hopefully I'm inspiring other people. I'm just really glad that honestly, getting to sing with so many other children who are also interested in the same passion that I have, music. I'm just really grateful to be on the stage.
When you're approaching something like this, though, I mean, do you still get nervous? Because, I mean, you're talking about singing to thousands of people.
Yeah, of course. I definitely do have nerves normally before I go on stage, but most of the time when I go on stage, my nerves will be mostly gone. Generally, singing is my passion, so I try to most of the time I'm enjoying it.
And what is it you like to sing most, though? Because obviously you're guided by what you're going to be singing on the tour, but what is your go-to when it comes to really opening up your lungs and singing your heart out?
I love singing ballads. Some of my favorite musical inspirations are Adele, Christina Aguilera, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. Any singer who releases ballads, I will be in love with them.
So how are you getting on with the music to celebrate what would have been Bob Marley's 80th birthday?
We are already doing a Bob Marley medley as our finale. So on February 6th, we'll be doing, from Manchester Cup Live Arena, we'll be on television celebrating his 80th birthday.
Is that music that you knew beforehand, or is it new to you?
I've definitely heard some of his songs. Bob, he is so influential in his messages in the songs, which are really popular, of like fighting against injustice, peace, unity. But yeah, I've definitely heard more of his music now that I'm performing with the Young Voices.
But I mean, you've been doing this the last 6+ years? I mean, you've been on the media for 6 years. I mean, it's the best part of a decade, and it's still only 15.
Yes. I started singing in festivals when I was around 7 or 8, but the first time I did a radio interview was with BBC Suffolk when I was 9 years old, and I sang Crazy Pepsi. But yeah, the first television performance I did was on Michael McIntyre's big show, where I was the unexpected star of the show when I was 9 years old.
That is absolutely crazy, isn't it? And I mean, this is obviously going to continue to be something that you do. What are the plans as far as releasing music in your own right goes when it comes to, I mean, are you now looking for singer-songwriters to work with, or you're starting to write music yourself?
So I definitely want to become a professional singer-songwriter, Last year or 2 years back, I released a single called Unbreakable. It's on my YouTube for all streaming platforms for anyone who wants to listen. And currently, I have been working on some songs with some other singer-songwriters that hopefully I'll be releasing soon.
So that's not too far away. This is going to be a significant career, isn't it?
Hopefully.
Okay, so where do we find your music to start off with, and then, of course, the event that you're part of at the moment?
Well, my music is available on my YouTube channel and all socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, TikTok, any platform.
Everywhere. So we just tell us what we're searching for there.
Sabat Nikanaya, if you can spell it.
Okay, you can. So please do.
SOUPARNIKA, Sabat and Naya, NAIR.
Keep doing your thing. We look forward to some amazing power ballads from you as you start your own musical releases. For now, Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Fred Dinenage is going to be at the Stafford Gatehouse on Thursday, the 20th of February. He's on the line now to tell me all about it. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And you use the word "how" there. I've kind of tried to avoid doing that so far because it is a bit of a cliche. But this is, of course, how I first came to your work, through the magic of "How To."
Yeah, well, "How To," and before that, of course, long before you were born, the original "How," which started in 1966 and ran for quite a few years.
And obviously a rich TV history involved in so much work and in part of so many people's lives. And is this what you get to be able to talk about at your gig at the Gatehouse?
Well, I'll talk about that a bit. It's basically, the show is called Ronnie, Reggie and Me, which is all about my encounters with the infamous Kray twins, the East End gangsters, as were. So that's the first half of the show and much of the second half of the show. But we also talk about, surviving 60 years in TV, including How and various other bloopers along the way.
Well, most people struggle to survive encounters with the Kray twins, so give us a bit of the background as to how you knew them.
Well, this is fascinating. It was a lovely man called Peter Maguire, who many years ago, his daughter Julie was dying of liver failure, just a young girl. She desperately needed a transplant. Suddenly the call came through from Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. A donor had been found. Little Julie was rushed to the hospital. The transplant was successful. She's alive and well and living now in Spain. Peter Maguire, still a good friend of mine, he was so thrilled with what the hospital had done to save his daughter's life, he vowed to raise £1 million, a huge amount of money some 30 years ago, to fund research into transplants and to help the hospital buy essential equipment they needed. We featured Peter's story on the 6 o'clock ITV news show in the south and southeast of England, which I was doing at the time. Suddenly, there was a great reaction to this. Peter was doing all sorts of incredible money-raising stunts, including dragging a field gun with some of his naval mates from Gosport in Hampshire, which is where he lived, all the way to Cambridge, a journey of well over 100 miles. We featured Peter on our programme. A few days later, I got a letter, franked HMP Parkhurst, Her Majesty's Prison Parkhurst, from Reggie Kray. In it, he said he'd seen the film, he was very moved by it, and he felt there were some talented artists in Parkhurst Prison. He could get them to do paintings. These could be sold for money to help Peter Maguire in his fundraising. And sure enough, eventually, half a dozen paintings arrived. 5 of them were quite magnificent. The 6th wasn't quite so good. It was a multicoloured painting of 2 boxes in a ring, but it was signed by Reg Kray, and that was the one which made the most money. We featured that on our programme, and a few weeks later I had another letter from Reggie Kray saying, if you're ever on the Isle of Wight, will you come and see me at Parkhurst Prison? I did. We got on quite well, and eventually he said, we're looking for someone to write our story, the true story of the Kray twins. Do you know anyone who could do it? Well, I'd never written a book, but I found myself saying, yes, I could do that. And eventually I met his brother, Ron, who was in Broadmoor Hospital for the Criminally Insane at Crowthorne in Berkshire. We got on okay, and that's how the book started all those years ago.
I mean, you are a journalist at heart, and to tell this story is absolutely huge. And I love the tale of the paintings, and that again, that's just an absolutely wonderful way of actually giving something back. And you wonder whether sometimes these people are it's sort of inherently evil, or what it is that makes them tick, and the fact that they're normal people, but sometimes it's their job which is the evil part of their world, isn't it?
Absolutely right, and I mean the Kray twins were bad boys. Let's be fair about it. They did kill 2 people, and they ran this gang in London, the East End of London, for so many years. But there was another side to the Kray twins, and I mean in this show, I don't attempt to glamorize or glorify the Kray twins in any way, but I just try and paint the full picture of the Kray twins, because, in fact, they gave away huge amounts of money over the years to charitable causes. So there was another side to Reg and Ron Kray, and that's what I try and bring across in this show, as well, of course, of talking about the things they did, and we've got some incredible videos as well, which we show in the show as well.
And because they didn't, I suppose, pull any punches about what they had done. There was no secret in many ways, and they almost traded on their behaviour, didn't they, during the height of their powers?
Well, they did, and they were very successful club owners as well, and that they appealed to such a wide variety of people. I mean, so many big American stars, whenever they were in London, would come and visit the Kray twins in the East End. All sorts of people, really big names, would see them, from Barbara Windsor on this side of the ocean, of course, but many American stars as well. Charlton Heston, Sonny Liston, the boxer. The list goes. Judy Garland would come over. George Raft. All these stars wanted to be seen with the Kray twins. They had a certain kind of mystique about them, which appealed to show business people as well. And of course, in their clubs, they started the careers of people like David Essex. He sang first of all in one of the Kray twins clubs. Peterson Lee. So all sorts of big stars were attracted to the Kray twins. It's quite extraordinary, the appeal they had.
And from that, they became more difficult to prosecute in some ways, didn't they? They were part of the establishment for so long. And again, this, I take it, is something you're able to explore in the show? Very
much so. We sort of track their criminal careers, and also, indeed, what led to their downfall, which, of course, were the 2 murders which they committed themselves and which they admitted to. Although, both of them in the end very much regretted. We've got. I found an old sound tape I'd recorded with Ronnie Kray in Broadmoor all those years ago. I discovered this in my loft at home. I'd forgotten I'd even recorded this tape, and we listened to some of the tape during the show of Ronnie Kray talking. And one of the most interesting things is he makes an appeal to young people, saying, "Don't enter a life of crime. Don't end up like me and my brother, because you'll only regret it." And it's quite dramatic. And this is going to be a part of that story, part of you being able to tell this, and allowing the intrigue into who they were, the way they were, and how it came about, and those people that they were sort of often working with, enjoyed spending time with as celebrities. And you've got Alex Dyke sort of helping you through the evening too, haven't you? Yeah, Alex kind of introduces the whole thing and triggers me off with the various stories and the various videos we've got. And as I say, we also talk about, the days of how and how to, and my a sort of fairly infamous interview I did with Julie Andrews and various other well-known celebrities, some of which turned out well, some of which didn't turn out quite so well. But the whole How story was fascinating. I mean, it all started with a man called Jack Hargreaves, who was a great broadcaster. And way back in 1966, I was only about 21, 22, just a young reporter on the 6 o'clock news show in the south of England. And Jack Hargreaves came up to me one day in the corridor and said, "I've got this idea for a program. I'm going to call it How, and it's going to be how does this work? How does that happen? It'll have 4 presenters," he said. He would do the kind of countryside stuff. Bunty James, who's still alive, would do the more feminine things. John Miller would do the scientific stuff. And he said, I'm looking for a younger presenter. He said, would you like to do it? And I said, yes. And he said, well, we're going to do a dummy program, a trial program, which we did. I was terrible. I got everything absolutely wrong. Things were getting spilt. Something caught fire. The camera crew thought it was funny, but I nearly died. I thought, well, that's the end of that for me. A few weeks later, Jack Hargreaves stopped me again and said, hey, 8 of these How programs have been commissioned by the network. Would you like to be on them? And I said, yes, I would, Jack. I said, Jack, I'm really going to concentrate really hard. I'm going to get everything right. I'll get all my facts and figures right, and I'll be really serious. And he said, Fred, you've got the wrong idea, son. He said, you've been hired to be the Pratt. And I've been a Pratt ever since.
Well, as a top quality journalist, entertaining on TV, however we see that, you've done a great job of educating and entertaining through the years, and also informing too, which I think is another vitally important part of your career. You'll continue to do that with Ronnie, Reggie and me. The story, as told by Fred Dinenage at the Stafford Gatehouse. As we say, it is the 20th of February. 01785 619080 is the box office number. gatehousetheatre.co.uk to hear the full story and much more. Fred, a joy to speak to you. Keep up the good work and have a great time out on the road.
It's smashing to talk to you. Thank you very much for the time and the interest. And that, as the old presenter used to say, is how for now.
From the 17th through to the 19th of February, there's an evening shared with Jasper Carrott and Alistair McGowan taking place at the Grand Theatre. 3 nights of comedy, madness, mayhem and wonder. To tell us just how wonderful it is, I'm joined now by Jasper Carrott himself. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. I hope we find you particularly well and looking forward to these interesting 3 nights with your mate Alistair.
Yes. I've worked with Alistair for many times over many years. And although it's comedy all night, it's 2 very different forms of comedy. Obviously, mine's the stand-up, and Alistair does all the impressions. And it's a great combination. I know the first 2 nights have sold out, I believe, but there are some tickets available for the 3rd night.
Yeah, I know the Monday and Tuesday are showing as limited availability. I think you can hear but not see in a few places. Check out if you want to go on those 2 nights in particular. But yeah, the Wednesday night is looking good. And I mean, I have to admit, I did nip onto the Wikipedia page just to check a couple of things, and I didn't believe that you were 79 for starters. How did that happen? Did that sneak up on you?
I've been dreading the big 8-0, which is March the 14th. So before I get to Wolverhampton, I won't be 80, which is very important.
It's crazy, though. I mean, I still think of you as when I went to see you up in Liverpool about nearly 40 years ago, not being very old at all.
Well, 40 years ago, I was -3. It's age is a funny thing, you know. You never, ever think that you're old. You are, but you never think it. You know, I'm still 27. And I just keep going because I enjoy working so much. I'm very fortunate. I have had a very successful career. I don't need the money, but I do need the adrenaline. And that's what you get at Wolverhampton in spades, believe you me.
It's what you deliver, though, with your comedy style and the quality of performances. I say, having seen you live and having watched you on TV numerous times throughout my life and the amazing shows that you've been part of there, we know we're guaranteed a good night.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so. I mean, I still give every ounce for every show is very important. People have paid a lot of money to see you, you know, and you can't just go out there and hope the evening goes well. You've got to go out and make sure the evening goes well. And obviously, I start touring next Monday. So there's new material going in, but there's some old favourites that people have forgotten. And it's wonderful because my audience is very, let's say, mature. And it's terrific because it's like meeting old friends. And I would get 100% standing ovation every night if 100% of my audience could stand.
But we need them to bring the grandkids with them, though, don't we?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, Well, I have to choose theatres carefully because the Grand at Wolverhampton has a big sort of back balcony, and my punters, don't normally buy back balcony tickets because they can't get up there, and if they could get up there, they can't hear, and if they can get up there and hear, they can't see, and then at the end of the show, you've got to get them back down again. So theatres with big back balconies are always difficult to sell. But
I can assure you there's a lift and a fantastic sound system. So everybody will be having a great night. It's guaranteed.
Oh, you are kind. I mean, obviously, as I say, the first 2 nights are sold out. And the third one is that, there's a few, it's the back balcony again. Oh, it's the bane of my life. But it's just really, looking back on my career, people come up to me a lot and say, "Oh, I love that bit you did, and I love and I used to be there with my parents when you were doing stand up and all the business." And it's wonderful being part of people's lives, and it's a very privileged position. It really is. And when I go out there, I have the time of my life, and I hope the audience do too.
Yeah, well, I mean, talking today in the office, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm due to be talking to Jasper later on," and one 20-odd-year-old said, "Nah, I've no idea who that is." And then we got round to Funky Moped, and they suddenly, "My granddad's played me that," so obviously it's still in living memory. But I mean, you were from a lot of your career whereby you were releasing albums with stuff on it. It wasn't downloads.
No, you see, you can't buy a comedy album these days because albums don't exist. I mean, I sold millions, literally millions of LPs and singles, but of course you can't buy a comedy album now, which is, because you can't get comedy on Chick-Face Talk or whatever they call it. It's so the comedy album has died a death. You can get cassettes. If you're under 50 and you want to know what a cassette is, gosh, it's a different world out there, Jason. It really is, It is. However, Wolverhampton, I've always had a real soft spot for Wolverhampton because in the early days when I was doing folk clubs, there used to be about 4 or 5 folk clubs. One at Codsall, one at Tetton Hall. All over the place, and I spend half my life in the Black Country working folk clubs, and of course the great thing about the Black Country is they have a wonderful sense of humour. They really do, which is a bit different from the rest of the country, and you just have to accept my word for it. But I grew up and learnt my trade mainly in the Black Country. I hardly worked Birmingham at all. In the first 5 years of my career, I worked Birmingham maybe 4 or 5 times, but the Black Country, I was forever up there. And so I have a great deal of affection for the people in all the, not just Wolverhampton, but Tipton. Dudley's a great place. The Dudley Town Hall. It's all great stuff and great audiences to play comedy to.
Now, I think probably one of your strangest gigs in Wolverhampton I was at, and actually I hope you don't mind, but I actually repeated some of on Christmas Day, and that's when you read a poem at Molyneux at a carol concert back in 1999, the Molyneux Millennium Carol Concert, and you'd come along there. I think you'd also appeared at a previous carol concert, Memorial for Billy Wright, but I actually shared on Christmas Day you reading this poem alongside one of the Midlands Today presenters, and it was absolutely throwing it down. But you did an amazing job of it all.
Well, it was Rachel Hayhoe Flint who put it all on. Rachel, I loved Rachel to bits.
Me too.
But like whenever she set something up, my grief, it was different. And this carol concert, I was out there, and I think there was something like about 230 people drenched to the bone on a freezing cold night, and I was doing something. Well, you were there, and it was something to do with a Christmas carol or something, and I called it a Rachel Hayhoe Flint stitch up, which it was.
Absolutely, every time. I mean, I was actually running around because I back in the day I did the PA at Molyneux, so I was actually working the event and making sure we held it all together. But the camaraderie on the night, you say, that an absolutely sodden choir, and then 9,000 people in the stands the other side, all warbling along to a few carols, all watching what was going on. A very peculiar evening.
Yes, it was, but it was Rachel Hayhoe, Finn. So I did some stuff for her that should go into a book, really. But she was a very, very good friend to me, and hopefully I reciprocated. So whenever we had charities on, and she did golf things and cricket things, I always used to turn up, and then she would come over and help me out with different speeches. Wonderful, wonderful lady, great memories.
Yeah, and sadly missed, but it's one of those things. The passage of time it gets to us all. However, you're holding it back by behaving just like you're still 27, even though we're not going to go into the numbers again. But I mean, with Alistair as well, it's going to be a great night because I mean his impressionist skills. I mean, when I see him, I'm never entirely sure who I'm looking at because he does sort of morph into who he's doing the voice of.
He's just a natural, and like you'll be talking to him, and like we'd be having a conversation, and then suddenly he'd be doing an impression of you, and he's just got that knack, and of course he's very funny. But one of the problems he's having, of course, again, is with audiences. Young audiences don't know who he's doing because he's doing some sort of Radio 4 weather broadcaster, and nobody under 50 knows who he is. So he has this great deal of difficulty trying to find new voices to do who everybody knows. He's got a real problem on there, but he overcomes it, and it's a delight playing with him. I mean, he's a great guy as well, very, very much for the environment, very principled man, but very talented.
I'd expect nothing less to be on tour with you, to be fair. He wouldn't be up on the bill otherwise. But I mean, it's
very kind.
When you got together, I mean, it was a random pairing at a festival, wasn't it? And it sort of snowballed from there, and it gives you a chance to go out and have a shared evening. Who does the first act, though?
Alistair always starts the evening off. He comes on and does about 25, 30 minutes, and then I do the same. And then as an interval, he goes on again, does the same, and I do the same. So it's 2 hours of solid comedy with a 20-minute interval for everybody to go and wet their whistle.
And that's important.
Too right. And the great thing about working with Alistair is he goes out and straight away he gets the audience straight away, and it's wonderful to follow him because all the audience are really ready and waiting for more comedy. So it's a great combination, and I love working with him. He's, as I say, very, very talented man.
I must ask though. I mean, I mentioned Funky Moped earlier. I mean, is there any chance of a rendition? Can we get this charting again? I mean, it ought to be there for a new generation.
Well, I did do some shows with the band, and I used to end up at the evening doing a status quo impression, and I used to get Funky Moped in, and I got it down to 42 seconds. And I say that because it got a great cheer when I started it, but I managed to finish it before people realised just how crap it was. So it was ideal. But you won't get Funky Moped in Wolverhampton this time round.
Stick it on your MP3 player, your phone, or play it on the gramophone before you leave the house. Then you'll be in the right frame of mind.
I know what that is. I know what a gramophone is. Yeah. I might just know what a cassette is, but anything else, I am a whatever they call it, klutz. I have no idea what the modern world is about.
It's safer that way because you can still make fun of it even if you don't understand it, as I'm sure you will. With some new material, some old, an amazing evening with the new old friend Alistair McGowan, an evening shared with Jasper Carrott and Alistair McGowan is at the Grand Theatre 17th through to the 19th of February. 3 nights of mirth, madness, 2 limited availability. Get in there quick if you can for Monday and Tuesday. And Wednesday, take your pick of the seats because that's going to be selling fast. You want to make sure you're there. grandtheatre.co.uk to get your tickets, or 01902 429212 on the old rotary dial telephone if you're one of Jasper's fans who is not actually that adept at the modern technology to get your tickets that way. Jasper, a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for joining us and have an amazing time on tour.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Jason. It's been a real help.
That's your lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 816 next week. Hope to have you along then. See you soon. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.